Kunjabi Hari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Shodananda Vrajajana Shodhanandana Vrajajana Chamanatira Vanachari Chamanatira Vanachari Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jai Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Isharananda Brajajanaranjan Shodhananda Brajajanaranjan Jamunatira Chari Jamunatira Chari Radha Bhava Kunjabi Hari Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Shri Radha Kunj Bihari ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishnaya Bhutale. Shri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesha. Shunyavadi Paschatya Satarine. I think I will put the verse on the board and then we can begin. I'm assuming we only have like an hour. And you could ask questions for an hour. So let us, yes, here we go. Put the verse up. Okay, so this is Srimad Bhagavatam 1629. This is, we are in St. Louis, Missouri. And it's rainy, cloudy, and cold, just like if you're in Europe where you are. So we're all one right now. And if you're in Delhi, it's also cold. It's a cold world out there. Okay, so I will chant it a few times and then I will allow you to chant it. In response, just turn your mics off so we don't hear you. So I'll chant each line twice, so the second time you'll respond. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Kalpanta idam adhaya shayanem bhashyudam vataha. Well, I'm supposed to do it twice, sorry. Kalpanta idam adhaya. Kalpanta idam adhaya shayanem bhasyudam vataha. Shayanem bhasyudam vataha. Sishayishor anupranam. Sishayishor anupranam. Vishwarantar aham vibaho. Vivishentar aham vibo. Kalpanta idam adhaya. Kalpanta idam adhaya. Shayanem bhasyudam vataha. Shayanem bhasyudam vataha. Shishayishor anupranam. Shishayishor anupranam. Vivishentar aham vibaho. Vivishentan aham vibaho. So we will read the word meanings. Kalapa ante, at the end of Brahma's day, idam, this, adhaya, taking together, shayane, having gone to lie down, ambasi, in the causal water, danvataha, devastation, shishaisho, lying of the personality of Godhead, narayana, anupranam, breathing, vivishe, entered into, antaha, within aham, I, bibo, of Lord Brahma. So for those of you just joining, this is um, about the life of Narada Muni. Translation. At the end of the millennium, when the personality of Godhead, Lord Narayana, lay down within the water of devastation, Brahma began to enter into him along with all creative elements. And I also entered through his breathing. So this continuation. Before we begin, it's a continuation of his story. And for those of you who don't know, the story of Narada Muni that we find in this canto starts with him as a 5-year-old boy, but there's a backstory. In another life. He was a Gandharva, and he was invited to a Sankirtan festival. So Gandharvas are beautiful singers, so let's bring the beautiful singers to glorify Krishna. Hare Krishna. We can just imagine their beautiful voices. So there were a lot of beautiful women there, and everyone was dressed up. It was like a Sankirtan Mela. And Narada, who was not Narada Muni then, he came and he was surrounded by beautiful women. And instead of glorifying Krishna, he was glorifying the demigods, or as Prabhupada says, like kind of this like singing popular songs. Um, so it was inappropriate, and he was cursed by the Prajapatis to take birth as a Shudra. So he took birth from the womb of a Shudra. So that's his backstory. And then we all know the story. He became liberated by the association of these Bhakti Vedantas, the sadhus. And then he became elevated, and so now he appears in the creation as the son of Brahma and one of the Mahajans. So it's quite a story from rock star to a Mahajan. Right? But now Narada Muni he's another kind of rock star because he rocks the boat. You see oftentimes he tries to make things happen, so he speeds things up by rocking the boat. You know, like dramatic, like you don't know, somebody doesn't know something, and Narada says, don't you know this is happening? And, really? Then you get all agitated and it just moves things forward. So he does have that service, and he's the guru of many great devotees, and he's preaching all over the universe, literally. So let's read the purport. Narada is known as the son of Brahma, as Lord Krishna is known as the son of Vasudeva. The personality of Godhead and his liberated devotees like Narada appear in the material world by the same process. So it's saying Narada and is a liberated devotee, but he wasn't liberated in the beginning, but now he's liberated. So we tend to see him in his eternally liberated form because once you're liberated, you are considered eternally liberated, even if you weren't liberated before, because from now and ever after you're liberated, so it's eternal. As is stated in Bhagavad Gita, the birth and activities of the Lord are all transcendental. Therefore, according to authorized opinion, the birth of Narada as the son of Brahma is also a transcendental pastime. His appearance and disappearance are practically on the same level as those of the Lord. The Lord and his devotees are therefore simultaneously one and different spiritual entities. They belong to the same category of transcendence. So, of course, this was not true before, but it's true now for Narada. So before, Narada teaches us such a good example, and why I like this example so much is that the first we hear of Narada, as I said, he's, you know, a Gandharva, heavenly planets, great singer, everything's good, you know, materially, he's not a devotee. And he's blessed uh, by the Prajapatis in a way that he gets the association of sadhus and he becomes a sadhu. Now, you might say, Narada's like is not an ordinary boy because if you read the Bhagavatam, you'll see Narada said to him, no, I wasn't like an ordinary boy. I was very well behaved. I wasn't frivolous. I didn't play. And what 5-year-old boy would really be that interested in hearing from sadhus, you know, but he was. So it looks like, well, this is not an ordinary Leela Narada Muni special, and certainly he is. But there is something which I think is important because if we just write Narada Muni off as like special, then we may overlook the things that happen to him that can happen or do happen to us that are important. So I like to look at the story of Narada Muni as once upon a time there was a great handsome young man who was the life of the party, had lots of girlfriends, and he was a rock star singer, Gandharva. We don't know how beautiful the Gandharvas sing, but they would make the American Idols look like croaking frogs in comparison. So, so the idea is that we'll take Narada Muni as someone who had made a mistake by glorifying demigods at a Sankirtan festival where he should have glorified Krishna, and he was hanging out with beautiful women, surrounded by them. Could you imagine, one of our devotees came to a kirtan mela with like 10 beautiful girls, and he's got, his earrings and tattoos and his hair, and it's like everything's like beautiful, and he looks like he just came off the stage of a rock concert, right? And he's chanting prayers to demigods. Kind of awkward, Maybe a sannyasi might curse him. Take birth. Take birth on planet Earth. Well, we're already on planet Earth, but if we weren't, take birth on planet Earth. You've made a big offense. So the idea of the story is you're taking a demigod and then you're bringing him down to Earth as like a ordinary Shudra, not like highly placed Brahmin or anything. Not born a Brahma family, not apparently knowing anything. Okay, so if we take the story that way, then it's kind of like us, we just kind of took birth and, not necessarily highly qualified. And even if we are, it's Kali Yuga. So highly qualified in Kali Yuga is not really that qualified because Kali Yuga is impure. So even if you're highly qualified Brahmin, it's mixed with tamas and rajas. So it's just Kali Yuga is not good. So what is the story? What are we supposed to get? Well, one of the things that's, I think, obvious is that you get the consciousness of the people you associate with. So there's this little boy, and somehow or other, he liked the sadhus and he was inclined to serve them. And so by being with them and getting infected by their association and infected by eating their prasadam, because the whole idea of association is you just get infected with the consciousness of the people you associate with. So, for example, in Vrindavan, at our retreat, one of the topics is going to be Sangha. And for fun, I have this AI app that just showed up as a part of Microsoft. It's called Copilot. And so I just ask it questions, see what it says. And so I asked a question about like, how does association affect us? And they gave this whole explanation how scientifically our mind is changing and altering by according to who we're associating with, like, neural pathways change and whatever, chemically changes in the body and the brain is altered. The way we're thinking is being altered by the way people around us are thinking. And so we're becoming exactly like the people who are around us, right? So here's Nard. So that's one of the, I think, things we need to notice about this story, that there's a little boy and he's around pure devotees. So he's absorbing that. And Just yesterday, Krupa Boy was asking me, as many devotees have asked, what is it like to be with Prabhupada? And often, um, what I explain is that when you're with a sadhu like that, you're through the transcendental process of, well, it's not even a transcendental process because, as I'm saying, when you're around someone, you absorb their energy, you absorb their what's in their heart, what's in their mind, what they're feeling. Um, and so when we were around Prabhupada, it felt to me like I was feeling what he was feeling. I mean, that's like sounds like I'm boasting, but not, I don't mean it that way. I mean like I wasn't feeling like I normally feel. Like I was feeling something much greater, more spiritual, more transcendental. I was talking to a devotee yesterday, and he said he had joined an organization, and the association was really bad, and it was kind of normal for these men to cheat on their wives. It was kind of like part of their motto, or so to speak, or their, what they did. And he said he started doing it also by their association, and he was lamenting that he had done it. He said, I don't know what got over me. Yeah, well, what got over you was the association of other people doing that. So, like you could do worse things than you've ever done in your life by bad association, and greater things than you've ever done in your life by good association. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur once said that if you want to improve your chanting, sit next to someone who chants purely. And it's kind of like, okay, if you sit next to the fire, you will get warm. So association is a lot like that. If you just see it as almost like a physical phenomena. Near the fire, I get warm. Near the snow, I get cold. So near the sadhu, I become sadhu. Near the debauchee, I become debauchee. Near the rascal, I become rascal. Um, Here's a study which is quite interesting that illustrates this point. And I don't know how true it is, but I sense it is because the person who said it probably would not have said it if he hadn't researched it well. And maybe you've heard this, that it is said that your level of wealth, and I think we could also add success, will be the average of your five closest friends. So if all your five closest friends have no money, you're going to be probably not wealthy. If your five best friends are all multimillionaires, you're probably going to be wealthy. So let's translate that into spiritual wealth. If your five best friends have prema, you'll probably get it too. If your five best friends are like Jagai and Madhai, then you'll probably end up like them also, right? So uh, yeah, there's a ghost in the background here. Yeah, we can see you, ghost. There it goes. He's making sure that I don't say anything wrong. So um, just think about this for a minute. It's like you might be thinking, wow, you mean I don't have to do anything? I just have to be in association and it happens? Well, yes and no, because as we're saying, you get the Shakti, you get the mercy, the kripa, or like Bhagavatam says, the saffron dust particles from Krishna's feet just by hearing. But we're not even talking about hearing. Well, hearing is, of course, important because in hearing, when you hear, you're getting implanted the consciousness of the speaker. So hopefully you're hearing from the right person. But if you're hearing from a pure devotee, the consciousness of the pure devotee is being planted in your heart. And there's all this transformation going on, but it's also who he is. So it's not just his words, but it's who he is. The consciousness he has, which he puts into his words, that all goes into your heart. And even if he doesn't say anything, just by being in his association, just by seeing him engage in devotional service or seeing her, so many things change. So this is what we should note firstly about Narada Muni. Let's just take him like he's just a rock star that ended up as a Shudra, in this next life. He's Mick Jagger in one life, and now he's like just took birth in a little village. of a without a father, and who knows who his father is. And there he is, but the sadhus show up. And for a lot of devotees in the West, we were just loitering in the street, and then the Harinam party came by, and something happened, and here we are, you know, like pure like a white sheet going from a dirty, dirty sheet. So that's the first thing. Uh, and so what I find encouraging about this story of Narada Muni is, as we know, Narada has come a long way since taking birth as a Shudra, or since being a Gandharva. He's come a long way. And so it is meant, it may not give you this because you may think, well, it's meant to give you an encouragement that you could do the same thing. And if you think, well, it's all transcendental. No, it is transcendental, but if we write it off as it's all transcendental, then we don't relate to it. It's just like, oh, that's Narada Muni, it's all transcendental, Krishna's arrangement. And he's a great devotee, Mahajan, and the guru of so many. But it's better for our own encouragement to take it as, well, Narada Muni did it, so I can do it. And you might say, but I'm not that serious. And to which we'll say, well, get serious like Narada Muni, and you'll get similar results. You can also be guru and travel the world and save people, just as Narada Muni did. I mean, that's the idea of this story, the way I see it, the way I think we should see it. Um, so when I was looking at the story and I was thinking, okay, this verse is talking about how Narada Muni is now a Mahajan. He takes birth as the son of Brahma with every universe, and his service is in this material world, going from place to place, and even got Gopi Prema in Vrindavan. I mean, he's doing good, don't you think? And so when I was looking at this verse, then I was thinking, okay, this is really encouraging. Uh, as you know, as you have experience, Maya's job is to discourage us, right? And so I wanted to talk a little bit about something that relates to, we're doing a self-care course, and I thought I could kind of bring this in and we could continue that discussion. And it's such a beautiful discussion that we're having now, is that we're not talking about material qualifications or even spiritual qualifications for being Krishna conscious. We're talking, as Rupa Goswami says, as the greed to have it, the desire, this is what I want, as the real qualification, which transcends all other past qualifications, past piety, past devotional service, and so forth. And Prabhupada talks about, uses the word sincerity. Rupa Goswami uses the word lolium, greed, I want it. Of course, you might say, why would you want it if you're not that advanced? And there is truth to that. It develops. But the point is, your desire for it is your real qualification. Prabhupada simplifies that by saying your sincerity is your qualification, because we all know we have lots of disqualifications. So, oh, I have a poem here. Hold on. Where's my poem? Because I have a line about sincerity. So we can read it to you. I think you'll like it if I just can find it. As I've opened up. Anyway, give me a second. I want to find it. I think it'll be worth it. Did you ever like save something somewhere? You can't find it. I think I remember the name. Hold on. Yeah, we got it. Yeah, so I have a line about sincerity. Oops, hold on. It's the wrong poem. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a minute with the poem, the right poem. Yes, we got it. I'm just going to remember. Okay. I have a line about sincerity. And this is a poem which was taken from the self-care affirmations. So I just have to search the word sincerity. Here it is, two lines. So, are you ready? Are you grounded? Are you centered? Are you listening? Success in effort, perfection's seed. In Krishna's service, I am freed from having to be what society seeks. I just need sincerity. Even though I am weak, nourishing thoughts I choose to sow in mind's garden where peace will grow. In sincerity's bloom as power and grace, it keeps me far from Maya's place. So we haven't got to this section yet here in St. Louis of the course. Those of you who've taken the course before may know that we have a section on sincerity. And what Prabhupada's saying in that section on sincerity is what I'm saying in this poem. Well, let's go over the poem and I'll explain it. Success and effort, perfection, seed. That means sincerity is the foundation, because if it depends on my qualification, either material or spiritual, I'm starting maybe with neither. And so what's my qualification? I need some qualification, and that becomes my sincerity, which is my desire to please Guru and Krishna. Um, in sincerity's bloom is power and grace. It keeps me far from Maya's place. So we have a line in the course, sincerity is your shield, your armor. In other words, as long as we're sincere, we'll go on in bhakti. And so because sincerity becomes our protection from Maya, because that pure heart, that pure desire, it'll keep you going and it'll protect you. So sincerity is like essentially important. And then the other line here, in sincerity's bloom is power and grace, it keeps me far from Maya's place. Um, uh, and yeah, that's the point. It keeps me far from Maya. So um, so now we go back to Narada, we look at him, and we're not going to think of him, oh, he's Narada as a transcendental pastime. We're going to think, here's Narada. He made a mistake. He's a Gandharva. You know, Gandharva is like, okay, he's not just an earthling. He's a Gandharva, but he was a Gandharva not like doing Krishna consciousness, but like, you know, maybe even more materialistic than we are. And somehow or other, he had this desire. And so what I think is so important is, as I often say, and I'm going to say it again because it's really, really important. Krishna says, "Yeyatamam prapajate." I reciprocate, and I often and sometimes devotees say, "Krishna's not reciprocating with me," and I say, "Yeah, he is." And they say, "No, I don't feel anything." I said, "Exactly, because you're giving him nothing, you get back nothing." So he is reciprocating 100%, and so this is important to understand. I don't feel anything when I chant Hare Krishna. Yeah, well, what are you giving to it? If you don't feel anything, I would take a guess you're not giving much to it. And if you're feeling something, I would take a guess you're giving a lot to it. That's just common sense, isn't it? So, if I give my sincerity to Krishna, which is sometimes the only thing I have to give. Sometimes I don't have anything else but that. If I give that to Krishna, then I'm giving something to Krishna that he can reciprocate with. And basically, as a conditioned soul, that's the main thing I can give. Can I give my love? I don't have prema. How do I give my love? You give it in the form of sincerity. That's your love. That's your devotion. I don't have devotion. Yeah, you do. Give your sincerity. What is your sincerity? It's a desire for perfection. It's a desire to please. It's the desire to make the effort. It's doing your best efforts and fumbling and falling and getting up again. That's what it means. You know, sincere people get up. right? If they slip, they get up. Because they're sincere, they don't give up. And sincerity means I want to please Krishna. I don't take to bhakti to get something for myself, some position, some prestige, some wealth, whatever it is. I don't take to bhakti for that. I take it to bhakti to please Krishna, to please Guru, to serve the mission of Srila Prabhupada, and to uplift myself. And then if I'm in that state, then when I have the sadhu's association like Narada had, then it's really going to penetrate me, because obviously Narada was like really moved by it, wasn't he? He was like totally transformed by that association. Now, we know that many, many thousands of people got to associate with Prabhupada and absolutely no transformation happened, at least not consciously, not that we could observe. Obviously, transformation happens by association of sadhu, but they were not in a state of consciousness to accept it and to benefit from it fully. So how do you benefit from the sadhu? Because you're sincere, because you want Krishna, you absorb their vibration, you hear that from them in a way that goes very deep, deep and transforms your heart. And you see that in those devotees who are serious about their bhakti, their hearing is more transformational. Their sangha is more transformational than those who are not as sincere or as desirous. Have you seen that? Like sometimes you'll see a devotee, they have huge transformation very quickly because they're eager. As is true with many things. If you're eager, you learn faster. If you're more serious about it, you improve more quickly. So I think Narada Muni should inspire us. And then we have Narada Muni as he is now. And this brings up a whole other thing because from my own experience with devotees, it's difficult for many of us to visualize ourselves as pure because we're not pure now. And it's hard to imagine. Like, could you imagine yourself being as Krishna conscious as Narada Muni? And probably many of you or all of you will say, no, I can't imagine. All right. So part of what this story should do for us is we're looking at Narada Muni going from 0 to 100, so to speak. From rockstar Apsara to universal guru with a whole list of incredible people as his disciples and a whole litany of leelas of saving living entities, even saving the universe. And so that part of it, the first part maybe is a little easier to relate to. Yeah, if I hear from sadhus, if I serve them, if I take their prasadam, if I'm sense controlled and serious, I can be Krishna conscious. But the second part, a Mahajan, an authority, an eternally liberated spaceman, like that's not possible. But we have to get over that. And how could we say it's not possible? Because we all have an eternal relationship with Krishna in pure love, and it's just dormant. So you can't say that's not possible, like every one of us. You might have heard of this principle called Ekadas Bhav. Ekadas means 11, and Bhav means, in this context, it means 11 things about your spiritual body. So we all have spiritual forms. The 11 things, I think, I know about 8 or 9 off the top of my head, but who you are, what your name is, what kind of dress you wear, your age, who you serve with, what your service is, the place you serve. This is all there for all of us. Wow, you can say wow if you want. You could faint if you want. We all have a spiritual body. It's covered and it's waiting, and it's all like there. So you could when you attain bhava, then you realize who you are in Krishna's pastimes, and then this and prema, this form is fully manifest in a spiritual body. So we all have that. That's our normal natural position. It's covered. So you can't say, well, I could never be like Narada Muni. Maybe not exactly, but you can't say I'd never be like him because you already are. You already have that pure spiritual body. Isn't that encouraging? Because a lot of us think, I'll never be Krishna conscious. No, that's like not even true as a philosophy. You already are. You just have to uncover it. You have it. It's just buried so deep, you don't even realize you have it. You have a spiritual form. You have, I mean, how many times did Prabhupada say we have an eternal relationship with Krishna? Yeah, that's fixed. So maybe you're a coward boy, maybe you're a gopi. It's already there in a certain camp, a certain service. That body's there. Isn't that cool? Or isn't that cool? Yeah, it's already there. So when you say, oh, Prabhu, gee, I can never be Krishna conscious, I just can't imagine myself, as a pure devotee, you already are. It's not imagination. You have that form. It's just covered by the physical body and the false ego. And when you become Krishna conscious, that form manifests in that lila with Krishna, you're already there, ready to like take it up and like, isn't that good news? Is that encouraging or so now when you look at Narada Muni's story, you can think, okay. So Narada Muni went from 0 to 100. That's what I'm trying to do also. So I can follow his footsteps and I can become pure because I already am. I just have to reawaken it. And on that level of purity, I could probably help a lot of people. And that purity is there. I'm just in the process of uncovering it. So you're not in the process of becoming like Narada Muni, you're in the process of uncovering it. And something else, just to take this to the next level, um, what Mahaprabhu is giving is so great that it even goes beyond what Narada Muni is, because he's giving Braj Bhakti in the mood of course, Narada Muni got Braj Bhakti, but in general, that's not what he's sharing, but Mahaprabhu's giving us Braj Bhakti. So, the potential we have is great. So I think it's really, really inspiring and really, really important to understand we're not developing something, but we're uncovering something. So if you say I'm developing it, then it's like, oh, I could never be like that. I can never do that. But if it's uncovering it, like let's say you broke an ankle and you have to like learn to walk again, but you already know how to walk. You're just relearning it. It's not from scratch. So we're all Krishna conscious by nature, so we're relearning it. So please always think that way. I'm just relearning it. It's not. So when you see these great pure devotees, don't think, oh, I can never be like them. I'm just a fallen, conditioned soul. No, you already are like them. It's just covered. You got to get all the dirt off. So let me just look at the purport for a moment to see if there's anything else I wanted to say. Uh, Yeah. So now, Prabhupada's saying, now that Narada Muni is liberated, his Leela, his pastimes are like Krishna, they're transcendental. He appears, not transcendental. What does it mean? You're not appearing according to karma, your past actions. You're appearing by Krishna's will to engage in his Leela. And so that's why it said he's like Krishna, transcendental. So when we become purified, then yeah, in that sense, we become like Krishna. Like Krishna says, I don't have to do anything. I don't have any duty. We have duties. Bhagavad Gita is all about do your dharma. If you don't, there's karma. And Krishna is saying, I don't have duties and I don't have karma, but I do it, just to set an example. So when you're pure, yeah, then when you're pure, you're pure. There's a letter. It's interesting. I don't know if you've seen this letter, but in like maybe 1970, Tamal Krishna asked Srila Prabhupada, who were you in your last life? Like, that's an interesting question, right? It's like, there are certain questions not to ask your guru, at least not to ask Srila Prabhupada, and that's one of them. Who were you in your last life? And so, Srila Prabhupada, in his answer, sensed a doubt in Tamal Krishna. His mind is like, well, were you a pure devotee in your last life? Because if you weren't, like, I don't know if that's a good thing. And you're my guru now, but. And, Prabhupada's answer was kind of like, sometimes you ask the wrong question and you don't know it. And when the guru gives you the answer, you realize you asked the wrong question because the wrong question, when you ask the wrong question, it makes assumptions about things that you misunderstand. So Prabhupada addressed this. It's like, so you're concerned about what I am, what I was in my past life. Does that have any effect on now my qualification to be your spiritual master? Prabhupada was making a rhetorical statement saying, no, it doesn't, because and just like Narada, he's now eternally liberated. We call him eternally liberated, even though he wasn't eternally liberated, because from, as I said, from now on, he's transcendental. So it doesn't matter. It's like you're this great athlete and you break your ankle, and then you heal your ankle and you go out and play and everything's fine. So, or like they say, when you break your bone, it gets stronger, it heals stronger. So does it matter that he broke his bone because he's fine now and he's playing? It doesn't. Nobody's going to care. Why would anybody care, right? So Prabhupada's making that point, like, what does it matter if I were a conditioned soul in my past life? Because now I'm not. And so do you think that's a disqualification for me to be your guru? Of course, Prabhupada said, I never forgot Krishna. And he said, maybe, he said, I don't know my last life, but I was born in a family of devotees, so you can guess, you can see from that. It wasn't ordinary birth. I've never committed any sin. So Prabhupada was assuring him, I have the credentials. But even still, those are not the ultimate credentials, because even if you don't have those credentials, but now you're pure, you have the credentials. So that was the point Prabhupada was making. It doesn't matter what you were before. What you are now is what you are. And if you're pure now, you're pure. And so we can all become pure and we can all do amazing service. And we don't have to worry that I wasn't pure at one stage. Because when I become liberated, then I'm like Krishna, I'm transcendental to karma, to repeated birth, to the influence of the modes of nature, because that's my eternal position. So we're going to end now and we're going to take some questions. And I don't know, how long is this class supposed to last? Does anyone know? I was assuming an hour, but as they say, don't make assumptions. But I have to take breakfast in like 20 minutes. So anyway, because we're having a workshop, it starts at 10. So we'll try to end around 8:30 our time, which is 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, and some 30 it would be in Europe, like 2:30, 3:30, and even later in India. So we have some questions here on Facebook. Some of you are on Facebook. How to understand spontaneous mood, Ragamarg? I'm feeling that Krishna maybe would like my certain offering. How to know if this comes from my mind? Yeah. Ragamarg is a qualification that develops usually at least from the stage of nista. And so that's a whole other discussion. But how do you know you're Ragamarg? If you're asking the question, then the answer is you're not. There's a lot of questions. If you have to ask them, am I on this level? The answer is no, because you wouldn't ask if you were. So that's a question like that. Ragamarg is this intense hankering to serve Krishna in the mood of a resident in Vrindavan, which means you're feeling very strongly a kinship with that resident, and you're feeling very strongly that rasa, and you have this intense desire to serve with the same feelings and moods of that resident. So that's why you wouldn't ask the question, because if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. Now, as a broader topic, Ragamarg is the path of love or the path of attachment. So we're all trying to develop that, as we said, in the mood of the residents of Braja. So in a sense, we're all on the path, but it's just not mature. So we all want to be on that path. We're not striving to go to Vaikuntha. We're striving to go to Vrindavan. We're striving to. And some may even be striving to be the servants of Radha, not servants of Krishna, or servants of Radha and Krishna. And so, but these things develop naturally. Uh, and so if you have to ask, probably you're not there yet. You know, I'm eating prasadam. Am I full, Prabhu? Can you tell me? Well, you would know if you were. Okay, so um, I'm not in the Zoom meeting today. My son's birthday. All right. How to remain in Krishna consciousness and not be affected by others? Well, the other day I was hearing a class, and the devotee said something that I've often said, and I think we've all noticed this. Prabhupada says that the most important practice of all the 64 items, there are five most important, and of the five most important, chanting the holy name is the most important. And a lot of the other processes are contained within chanting, like remembering. It's part of the process. Hearing the holy name, you're speaking. Um, it's sometimes said to be the pillar upon which all the other processes are being supported. But you must have thought, if I don't have the association of devotees, how would I even be able to chant? Uh, that question came up last night. When I'm alone, sometimes I just don't want to chant. So even though we say that kirtan and chanting of the holy name, japa, is the most fundamental process, everything in bhakti has its full value when accompanied by kirtan. The fact remains, and I think it's obvious to all of us, without association, I won't be able to do it, right? So the answer to your question is association. Association is the main thing. And then chanting, like Maya can be powerful, but she can also be, you can also be powerful. And your power will come from your pure chanting, from association, from studying Prabhupada's books, and doing it nityam bhagavata seva, doing it every day. See, the problem is, it's like I go to the gym once a week, I eat a salad once a week, the rest of the time it's pizza and ice cream and couch potato. I'm watching TV all day. So, that's not going to help you once a week, a few hours here or there. So it has to be steady. And the reason it has to be steady is because Maya is steady, right? So if you're competing or fighting with Maya, you have to like kind of battle on the same grounds that she battles, right? And so she doesn't give up. So if you're going to take a break, today's Sunday, I'll just, today's my day for Maya. Yeah, all right. So that's she doesn't take a day off. So, that's the steadiness. Um, Corinne is asking a question. Should we let go of association that does not add much value in Krishna consciousness? Um, well, naturally, as you progress in devotional service, you want to be around devotees so you can relish hearing and chanting about Krishna. And so as you get a taste for hearing and chanting and serving, it becomes more difficult just to be around people who are talking about the weather and politics and sports and business and fashion and movies and this YouTube video and that. It's like you lose interest in it. So it's not even like Korean, it's not even a conscious decision. At some point, it's like there's certain foods that unhealthy people do not like, but if they become healthy, they like them. So it's like asking the question, should I stop eating all this junk food? And I'll say, well, just eat healthy food. You'll get to this point where the healthy food will taste good and the junk food will taste bad, right? Just like I don't know if you smelt this. We were in the airport the other day and I was smelling something that was making me nauseous. Did you smell it?
Bacon.
Bacon. Yeah, I was walking by and I was like, I've never been in an airport where this bacon aroma is like so pervasive. And it was like I'd rather have a skunk squirt on me than smell that. It was like, wasn't it? Like skunk smells don't make me nauseous. This was making me nauseous. So as I was walking by, I was thinking, uh, I was thinking, it's just very interesting that some people actually love that smell and they're making a beehive to get that bacon. And I'm ready to vomit. So that's what happens when you get a taste for hearing and chanting. It's really difficult to be around people who are eating bacon, so to speak. And literally, when you only take Krishna prasadam, would you go out to lunch with people who are eating hamburgers? It would be difficult. That happened to me once in my life as a devotee, where I had to be in that situation. I was like, oh my God, that was hell. So that's the answer. And then we have some chat. On chat here, some questions. So, mind control is eternal, Gopishwar says. Well, when you're Krishna conscious, you don't have to fight it anymore. Krishna will be, you will see Krishna is so enchantingly beautiful. That's what you'll think about. But until then, yeah, um, the more Krishna conscious, the less you have to fight your mind and senses. But until we're perfect, yeah, that's the struggle. When you get to the stage of ruchi, as it said, at the stage of ruchi, which means taste, pretty much your struggle's over because now everything you're doing in Krishna consciousness, you love doing. It's just juicy. But before that, you have to battle with your own desires because your attraction for Krishna is not as strong as your desires. But when you get to ruchi, it's much stronger. So, if I were you, I would try to get to ruchi as soon as possible because that's where life gets good in bhakti, like really good and really easy. It's just like ruchi's like top of the mountain, and then you're just like, okay, you're sliding down on your taste. You're not like climbing up anymore. Sliding down in a good way. Next question, how to not get discouraged in bhakti? One of the things that Prabhupada has asked us to do is not to get discouraged or remain enthusiastic. Now, if you allow yourself to get discouraged, you know what's going to happen to your bhakti? It's going to get very negatively impacted. So um, in the retreat, we have a question, something like, what inspires you? So if you're discouraged, then maybe there's nothing in your life that's inspiring you. So then I'll ask you the question, well, what inspires you in bhakti? Like what would get you up at 3 a.m. in the morning, even if you went to bed late? Like, what is that you just love doing and you could do all day, every day? And you just think about it and eat it and sleep it. We all need a service like that. We can't just like, "Oh, I go to the temple and I make a flower garland." Okay, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but what else? What else? What lights your fire? What do you dream about? What do you think about? What inspires you? Um, what's your nature? I was just listening to a class by Urmila, and she said, I have this nature to lead, but I thought, maybe it's not good, and I'll just make a flower garland. So she told the story that in India, she just said, I want to make some flower garlands, and all the Indian women were looking at her like, who's this Western woman? She can't make a flower garland. And so she was just trying to curb her leadership tendencies, thinking it's not healthy or not proper or whatever. And they were showing her how to make the flower garlands, and she was making them. And then she got up and left, and they tore up her flower garland. They didn't like it. And she said, At that point, I decided, this tendency to be a leader, I should just follow it because it's like, it's just who I am. So who are you? Well, what is it that you are that you can use for a Krishna that you just are, you love to do, you're inspired by it, you're good at it. That's really, really important. And the other thing is, if we're not inspired by sadhana, then we might have to do something like severe. We might have to make a severe, like, shock to our life. We have to do something. Like, I'll tell you a story, Hari Bhakti. This is a funny story. Some of you may have heard this story. It is such an interesting story. I'm going to shock you and tell you at the beginning of the story, I once got intoxicated as a devotee. And you're like, okay, all right, that's it. You're not my guru anymore. I reject you. Okay. Well, listen to the rest of the story. It's interesting. Not as bad as you think. The way I got intoxicated was by being in an airport distributing Prabhupada's books for 12 hours a day. That day I distributed like 50 big books. That was a great day for me. My world's record. And we were about 50 feet from the entranceway, and there were these winds that would come in every time people would come in, and it was all day, people are coming in. This was the busiest day of the year. It was Thanksgiving. The evening of Thanksgiving in America is the busiest travel day. So we decided we would stay at the airport 12 hours. And this air was just blowing in on us all day. So let me tell you how I got intoxicated. Don't worry, it was involuntary. I never have broken that principle. I mean, after I became a devotee. Before I did, but after I didn't. So they were building something. I think they were building displays. And where we were distributing books, it was the best place to distribute, but that's where they were building the displays. And they were using cement glue. I don't know if you know what cement glue is. It's like a model glue. You use it, it's like gooey. And what do you use cement glue for? What do you glue with it?
Yes.
Like rubber. Sometimes you glue. Oh, you
glue cement together.
I know you use it to glue rubber together, So anyway, they were gluing panels with this. Now, don't get any ideas, but for those of you who don't know, you can buy cement glue and you can inhale it and get high. And when I was a teenager, I never did it. I thought it was stupid. But some of my friends or friends of friends would buy cement glue. You know about that? Yeah. Now you know. Now you're going to go out and buy it if you're under 18. It's better than alcohol. No, don't do it. So you buy cement glue and you breathe it and you get high. So guess what happened to us? We're sitting, these guys were working like, I don't know what they were doing. Maybe they were breathing it. They were working slow. And so they were gluing these panels all day. The wind is blowing and it's blowing the cement glue flames at us. And we're at the airport for 12 hours. And that's probably why I distributed 50 books. Yeah, that's my Prabhu, how do you distribute so many books? It's cement glue. That's the secret, right? Only kidding. So we came back and we were intoxicated. And when I didn't realize it till we got back, and I finally realized it. I said, we're all high, and everybody was laughing. And I go, yeah, we're high. And it was there was snow everywhere. It was below zero, freezing. And so what I did, and this is what I said, when you need to get inspired and you're not doing well, you got to do something drastic. I couldn't stand being intoxicated. So I went in and took a cold shower. I mean, this is like super cold water, like freezing water, like 0-degree water. I took a shower and then we got back at midnight and then I didn't go to sleep. I went on a japa walk in the snow at like 2 a.m. because I didn't want to be intoxicated and I wanted to get rid of it. And it actually worked. Between the cold shower and the japa walk in the snow, I came down. So I was telling you this story because I was saying sometimes when you're not encouraged, you have to do something drastic. It's like, Hari Bhakti, go drive down to Rupa Goswami's Bhajan Kutir and just sit there and chant 64 rounds. Like he lives like a couple hours from Vrindavan, so he could do that. Like do something drastic, like or take off a week from work and chant 64 rounds and read Prabhupada's book 6 hours a day. Like sometimes you just have to, like, you cannot allow yourself not to have a taste for sadhana. You cannot allow yourself not to be enthusiastic for sadhana because if that's what happens, then you're in big trouble. So I have adopted the policy because Prabhupada said, if you lose your enthusiasm, everything is finished. I've adopted the policy that somehow or other, I will always be enthusiastic. I will never allow myself not to be enthusiastic. And I will never allow anything to discourage me. Even if it's discouraging, I won't become discouraged by it. That's my policy, like there's so many how do you not become discouraged? By not allowing yourself to become discouraged by discouraging things. That's how, because if you allow yourself to become discouraged by discouraging things, there's millions of them everywhere, right? So that's my policy. I hope that helps. How do how we know if we do the real Dharma, Krishna consciousness? You'll know by the result. If the result is detachment and bhakti and love and enthusiasm, then you know. If the result is blah, then you don't know. Priya has a question. I understand today's class that our Swarup is eternal. Gopa or Gopi, is that correct? Yeah. Prabhupada said you could change it, but it's already there. Prabhupada said it's dynamic, so if you want, you could change it, but general understanding is you already have it. You'll discover it. Yeah, so I believe that mood ought to manifest in us after practicing, yeah. Particularly like stage of asakti, it becomes very strong. It may become strong before that. I don't think I'm at asakti, and I think some of my god brothers may not be there, but some of us have a very strong inclination. Yeah, very strong inclination for a certain mood. And it has nothing to do with you, like I'm a girl, so I want to be a gopi. It's nothing to do with that, you know. You can be a boy and want to be a gopi. You can be a girl and want to be a gopa. It's transcendental. Yeah. So you'll discover it. Be patient and don't try to discover it before you discover it, because then that becomes that's not helpful. Okay, so we're going to end class now, and we'll see you tomorrow at the same time. Um, and go discuss Srimad Bhagavatam and be happy in Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanandi Hari.